but I've had the paper for legitimacy twice.
And it hasn't helped.
It didn't help. It made such a difference. It was so discriminatory towards me as a woman that I will not go through it again. I can't.
Yeah.
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 That's a good point from, frankly, a heterosexual woman.
Mm.
And I feel very strongly about it. I don't think either of us would hurt each other's feelings by saying, we don't want to get married. He's never been.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see his being afraid, but I've been married twice, and I am so deathly afraid of having to do that again.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
pushing, God knows I'm not going to have kids now, but it's just, my mother pushed for grandchildren in my first and my second marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Mothers do
And
that.
I am so glad I stuck to my guns and did not do that. I didn't want children. I knew I didn't have the tolerance
Yep.
because of the way I was raised. I did not want to beat a child like I was beaten. I
Right.
did not want to tell a child it was a mistake like I was told.
Oh.
Yeah.
So many different things in my life that have led me down this strange path I keep going down, but, damn, I feel good. Now, finally.
Yeah, and that's what counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the wonderful show.
Not a
Well,
problem.
thank you.
Thanks for calling.
And you should come on the show and bring your sweetheart.
See, that reminded me something that my mom told me when she was thinking about children and grandchildren. She said, "I had you and your sister for my pleasure,
Yeah.
and not everybody should have kids,
Wow.
and you get to make that decision for yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't want kids, you shouldn't have them."
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? That's a very interesting perspective, and yeah, well, obviously we'll get her on the show again because we get her on the show frequently, and so we'll have to get her on and talk about that. But yeah, the whole discrimination thing is a whole nother aspect, and I wanted to get into that tonight, but we sort of ran out of time. But
Sorry.
but no, that's cool, and we should talk. Maybe next week we can talk about discrimination because it is. It's very widespread and it's something worth talking about.
Right,
But
and it always gets my dander up in
Yes.
whatever aspect of it we're talking
sure,
about.
and it should. It absolutely should. But it's amazing how much I have sort of come to realize that I was sort of living for many years with blinders on. I didn't realize that there is an awful lot of discrimination in this world, and it hasn't really stopped. And so it's certainly something worth talking about. But it's interesting. I'm not going to get long-winded here, but Kate brings up a kind of an interesting point. I saw that too. I was married once, and I saw a change after I got married, and I still am not sure exactly why that happened. But I was very happy to be married. But my spouse did a real kind of a 180 after we got married, and it was kind of strange. And I know that does happen sometimes, but that's something that we should probably explore sometime.
Right.
But it's an interesting thing, an interesting phenomenon. I've heard it's sort of anecdotal, but I've heard it so many times.
But basically what that's reinforcing is the notion that there is something culturally unique about marriage. It's not just a word. It's not just a title.
Sure. Yeah, that's true.
There is something that happens to relationships
Yeah.
when you become married, for
And
better or for worse.
one of the things we can discuss when we broach this topic again is the Wiccan hand fasting rite involves a promise for a year and a day or as long as love will stay.
Oh,
If after a year and a day it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
interesting. Wow.
So it's more of a marriage contract, and it's
Yeah.
not necessarily
We'll talk
something
about
that's
that.
oppressive enough to be,
Yeah.
okay, it's a life sentence.
Right. Yeah.
We'll talk about that. That's very interesting.
But
I
now,
think we are out of time.
we're out of time.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk about discrimination next week. I promise we'll get to that. But thank you for joining us, and we will see you all next week. Bye bye. Happy Tax Day.
Get your taxes in.